was the showcase? All right. Oh, that was weak. How was the showcase? All right. All right. All right, so help me out here. I see a whole bunch of people all the way in the back there. You have the opportunity to come over here and be a little closer to us, if you'd like. But we won't be offended if you didn't. Anyone? Any takers? All right, we have more people coming in. All right, so we have a pretty fast-moving show for you today. It's our spoken program of our 33rd showcase. How about that? There'll be 3 parts to the program, and we are first going to be meeting our fast pitch companies, and then we'll proceed to the graduation ceremony. There'll be 5 graduating companies this year, very exciting. And then finally, we will be hearing from an ATDC alum who is also going to be our keynote speaker. So without further ado, let me just kind of give you all the concept of fast pitch. So there are 9 fast pitch companies this year, and they were picked to they are companies that you may not have heard of, but that you will definitely be hearing more from in the year to come. And so we are truly, truly excited about having them present themselves to you. My name is Jackie Chu, those of you who don't know me, and I'm a startup catalyst here at ATDC, and it's my pleasure to be your MC this afternoon. So, on to the first. Please welcome Laura Longo from Tally.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi. So I am Lauren Longo of Tally. We are an event logging platform, and our first product is Tally Baby. The global baby care market was valued at almost $90 billion in 2017 and is projected to grow to $108 billion in the next 5 years. This market growth is fueled by rising awareness of infant health, nutrition, and hygiene, increasing female working population, increasing disposable income, and industry innovation. Millennial and Generation Z parents were born into technology. They're driving baby tracking app downloads of more than 2 million per year, and they adopt smart home devices at 2 times the rate of the average consumer. From a technology perspective, new parents are focused on monitoring health, safety, and development. Parents track feedings, diapers, and sleep for reporting at each pediatrician's visit to make sure baby's on track. They're also tracking to identify patterns and establish routines that work for their busy families. With parents tag teaming care, mom going back to work or grandma watching the baby, parents are also using care tracking to help ensure that baby's getting what she needs across multiple caregivers. Our Tally Baby platform provides 3 easy options for care tracking. Our mobile app offers on-the-go logging and detailed reporting. Our Alexa skill provides hands-free options for when your hands are full or dirty. And our one-touch logging device is your easy button, perfect for those 2 a.m. feedings and diaper changes. We've developed the entire platform to be fully customizable so it can grow with families over time. Parents can configure what each button tracks, enabling them to adapt the platform to help them through potty training, daily chores, even adapt it for pets or care of an aging loved one. Our founding team has deep bench strength in user experience, software, hardware, and consumer marketing. Developing and marketing great products is what we do. We've surrounded ourselves with a world-class team of advisors with expertise in the baby and kids industry, startup strategy, and finance. Our pricing model is a la carte, so parents can pick and choose the pieces of the platform that are most helpful to them. For $1.99 a month, you can log in our app and access all reporting and analytics. Our hardware device retails at $65 for one, $119 for 2. Our Alexa skill is free to download but requires an app subscription to access the data logged. And parents who want to customize the platform can do so for a one-time fee of $9.99. We beta tested our platform with 23 families across the US and are now in our post-beta rollout. Our V1 app is available now for iOS, with the Android app coming next month along with the Alexa skill. We're planning a Kickstarter campaign for May and June, and we'll be shipping hardware in September. Find us on the App Store at Tally Baby or online at tally.me. Please join us through our launch of Tally Baby and beyond. We're just getting started. Thank you.
All right, so staying on the theme of babies, our next company addresses the challenges of being a busy parent. Please join me in welcoming Ifra Khan. Ifra?
Oh, thank you. Hey, everyone. I want to start out with a question. With a show of hands, how many parents in the audience have had to cancel plans because you couldn't find a reliable babysitter? Okay, well, I have great news. We're solving that problem. I'm Ifra, and I'm the founder of USIT, short for University Sitting. USIT creates a new type of connectivity between busy parents and vetted college students, turning what used to be a huge pain into an easy and exciting process. And that's a $10 billion market for last minute and fill-in childcare needs that we're going after. So here's how we do it. It takes less than a minute for a parent to post a job. They set their own rate, get applicants within the hour, and can review their ratings, reviews, and referrals. They book their sitter, and the end result is they have an awesome university sitter at their door that same day taking care of their little one. Problem solved. All of our babysitters are graduate and undergraduate college students. And what gives USIT an edge is how we vet them through a 4-step verification process, including background checks. We currently work with Evident ID to do background checks on all our students, a USIT certification test that covers babysitting basics, university verification through their .edu email, and daily quality checks that make sure students maintain an average of a 4.5-star rating or above. And that's what makes us different from our competitors. Even the big players like Care, Windy, and Urban Sitter and Sitter City do minimal vetting, have an overwhelming process, and use costly subscription fee models, even though parents have to do most of the work, including the finding and vetting the sitters themselves. Here's how we make money. We have 2 different pricing options. A basic model that's pay-as-you-go, which is $12.99 per transaction, and a membership club. We also charge a transaction fee for that. And we take a $2.99 booking fee on the sitter side per transaction. And it's working. We have a $420,000 annual gross revenue run rate. We've had 500 jobs completed last month alone inside of Atlanta, and 80% of our customers come back and use us again. And this just reflects the B2C channels inside the perimeter in Atlanta alone. We have an awesome team, a happiness officer, a business development teammate who was previously a celebrity nanny, a tech team with over 20 years of experience, and awesome advisors in the Atlanta community. And we're going to scale up with 3 different channels: B2B channels, online channels we're currently working with, including Instagram influencers, and offline channels. With USIT, you'll never have to cancel plans again. Find me after and we'll talk. Thank you.
Thank you. So next up is Leo Rojas of MobiCap, and he is going to be telling us about a care of a different type of something special and precious.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Leo Rojas, and I am the president and co-founder of MobiCap. We are changing automotive ownership. Quick show of hands. How many of you have heard the stat, 1% of American households represent 40% of American wealth? Good. When it comes to investment-grade vehicles like the one pictured here, it's a very similar story. Investment-grade vehicles, meaning exotics, anything that's collectible, represents less than 10% of all the cars on the road today. However, they make up a staggering 56% of the total market value. I want to let that sink in for a second. Less than 10% of the cars on the road today make up 56% of the entire market value. Let's talk about how we fit into that picture. Our platform marries technology and service. From the initial purchase, care, maintenance, washes of your vehicle, all the way into the sale of your investment-grade asset, MobiCap is there to facilitate your entire ownership experience. We take care of absolutely everything in terms of ownership. Our clients tend to save an average of 40 hours per year and see an increased value of 8% on their vehicles. We make our money across 3 different revenue streams. First one being service. Anything as simple as a car wash and as complicated as a full customized solution. Records and analytics. Along your ownership experience, we collect any and all automotive data. This allows us to create a full digital platform for any potential buyer to see, thus making us a trusted third party in the sale process. And lastly, we use that same data, always vehicular and never your personal data, and we sell that to manufacturers and component makers alike, allowing them to increase their sales trends and make better components for your vehicles. So far year to date, we've done $250,000 in sales, and that is our service alone. I want to tell a story of Jonathan. Jonathan is one of our clients and kind of our success story. Jonathan has many things. He's a father, a husband, an entrepreneur, an enthusiast, a collector. So he's a very busy man, as you can imagine. Prior to using MobiCab, Jonathan would spend upwards of 100 hours per year caring for his collection. That now is a thing of the past. Jonathan now relies on MobiCab, allowing him to drive his cars rather than letting his cars drive him. Our team comes from leaders of each segment, from the companies that you see on the screen, with backgrounds in sales, technology, automotive. Our passion is to drive automotive excellence. We want to change the industry. We're currently raising a round of $2 million to finish our product development and our software suite across all platforms. This will allow us to yield $35 million in annual recurring revenue within the next 30 months. Those of you interested in vehicle care or interested in investing, please track one of us down today. We'll be happy to speak with you. Thank you for your time.
Next up, John Wolf from I6, Inspector 6.
Thanks, Jackie. Good afternoon. My name is John Wolf, and I'm the founder of Inspector 6. I started this company to solve a problem that I've experienced firsthand throughout my career, most recently as the CMO at Intradiem. Every company needs great sales and marketing, communications, and content to convert prospects into customers. However, producing that content is incredibly difficult. The content review process is time-consuming and labor-intensive. It's subjective and siloed. And as a result, it rarely happens consistently and thoroughly. It's a process that is dominated by opinions rather than by facts. And as a result, it is impossible to systematically predict results. What if it didn't have to be that way? What if we could automate that content review and analysis process? What if we could replace those subjective opinions with facts and data? Use that data to predict results. Well, with new technology came new possibilities, and Inspector 6 was born. Our technology collects your content in any communication channel, whether it's the web, email, social media, even sales calls. We parse that content into text blocks, images, videos, and then run those components through dozens of machine learning models to deliver insight in 4 key areas. Brand compliance. Do your assets adhere to your standards in the area of tone, target demographics, visual identity, readability, just to name a few? Messaging. What story are you telling your market? Are you overemphasizing certain brand attributes such as product features, or maybe underemphasizing others such as value proposition and differentiation? Competitive intel. We deliver this by analyzing your competitors' assets in the exact same way as we analyze yours. And then finally, we couple our measurements with your performance data to feed predictive models that tell you how to change outcomes. Okay, the next slide is, this may not be working. Just come up here? Okay. The arrows, spaces, no, that's backward. Okay, do the rest from up here. So one of our customers is a large multinational with hundreds of brands. They use our tool to analyze hundreds of websites and social media properties every single day. They're now embedding Inspector 6 into their creative process to deliver more consistent, higher quality, better performing marketing assets in less time. Our technology showed another customer that their current messaging was 93% focused on product features. When they saw this, they created a goal to shift their messaging such that it would be over 80% focused on value propositions and differentiation. Once they finally reached that goal, they had increased conversion rates by 29%. This is a SaaS solution with an effortless implementation that we're taking to a $4.6 billion market. That's Inspector 6. Thanks for your time. If you have any questions, please send me an email.
All right. Tim had the magic touch here. All right, so our next two companies operate in the cybersecurity space. So please welcome Armistead Whitney, ATDC.
All right. Thanks, Jackie. Appreciate it. All right. Well, it's really great to be here. Thank you for letting us share the ATDC story with you. So let's get started. So every company with between 50 and 50,000 employees is looking to build a great cybersecurity program. So if you take credit cards, you're trying to implement hundreds of requirements for PCI. If you're a healthcare company, you too are trying to implement hundreds of requirements for HIPAA. And as a SaaS company, your customers are demanding that you implement SOC 2 before they'll do business with you. And they're doing it on Excel spreadsheets. Excel was invented in 1985, and it's time for an upgrade. CIOs are now forced to run one of the most important parts of IT on something that it was never designed for. There's no easy way for companies of all sizes to build, manage, and report their cybersecurity system. So you may say, well, why don't companies just hire a bunch of cybersecurity people? You can't. There's over 1 million unfilled security jobs. There's not enough resources for companies to reach their goals. Or you may say, just buy more cybersecurity products. The market is flooded with too many cybersecurity products, and they really don't even talk to each other. Or you may just say, let's just do nothing. Really not an option in today's world of growing threats. So here we are. How do we help companies of all sizes address this huge problem? And it's called ATDC. Your entire cybersecurity program on one pane of glass. So how does it work? Well, first, you're going to select the frameworks you want to follow, like HIPAA, PCI, SOC 2, GDPR, and ATDC instantly designs your program from start to finish. Next, you're going to implement your program with incredible tools, project lifecycle management, real-time compliance scoring, budgeting, alerting, calendaring, all in one central system to get cybersecurity done. And as CIO, when you're walking into that next board meeting, you're walking in with phenomenal dashboards and reports that you created in just one click. And the market loves it. In a very, very short period of time, we sold ATDC into every industry category, from financial services to healthcare to retail to SaaS. And that's just the beginning. We're disrupting a $200 billion market. And we're doing it with a really incredible team, loaded with experience, backed by a fantastic group of investors. So this is it. Your entire cybersecurity program on one pane of glass, and our customers love it, and I hope you do too. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Armistead. All right. Next up, please help me welcome David Formby, whose company's cybersecurity solution is protecting against some very, very catastrophic damages. David?
Good afternoon. My name is David Formby, and I'm co-founder and CEO of Fortified Logic. In the last few years, we've seen a dramatic increase in the number of cyber attacks that cause physical consequences. Just last month, a Norwegian aluminum factory suffered a partial plant shutdown because of a ransomware attack. In a chaotic week following the attack, the plant was operating in manual mode and was estimated to have suffered $40 million in lost revenue. In the summer of 2017, a new strand of ransomware was making its way around Ukraine with possible political origins. As collateral damage, one of the world's largest shipping companies, Maersk, was soon infected. In possibly one of the most expensive cyber attacks in history, Maersk was estimated to have suffered $300 million in damage as a result of that ransomware attack. Later that same year, another historical milestone was crossed when the first ever case of malware targeting industrial safety systems was discovered. This malware, dubbed Triton, was only discovered when it accidentally caused an emergency plant shutdown at a Middle Eastern oil facility. What if the attacker had been able to achieve their true goals of disabling the safety systems? What kind of price would we put on the environmental disaster or human harm that resulted from that attack? Fortified Logic is here to prevent that from ever happening. Our network security appliance uses patent-pending technology to detect advanced cyber attacks, prevent industrial accidents, and optimize industrial network performance. We're currently operating several successful pilot programs in a wide range of industries, including power distribution, water utilities, manufacturing, as well as the US Navy and US Air Force. Fortified Logic started out of my own doctorate research at Georgia Tech under Professor Rahim Bia. After founding the company together, Dr. Bia and I now serve as the core leadership team. Our advisory board is made up of another founding team from another Atlanta security startup called Wanco that was successfully acquired by Cisco just a few years ago. We sell our product for a one-time installation fee, scaling the fee depending on the size of the customer's facilities that we're installing on, and then charge a yearly subscription fee in return for software updates and technical support. To bring our product to market, we leverage our gamified training in a simulated environment with 3D video game graphics. This enables us to educate the customer base on the value of our core product, as well as build up an efficient channels partner and influencer program, reaching out to the security consultants who are already serving the customers, as well as the industrial system integrators that are already servicing our customers. Critical infrastructure is vulnerable, and we're here to fortify it. Contact us at info@fortify.com to see a demo of our product in action. Thank you.
And there you have it. We are 6 and 3 more to go. Our last 3 companies are all building, it's kind of meta, they're all building platforms that create something in their respective industries. So please welcome Anush Mittal from Memios.
Did you know there is a science behind memes like this, this, and this? The term was coined by Richard Dawkins as a manifestation to the selfish genes. By their very nature, they are viral and reach out to millions of people on the internet. Hi, I'm Anush, and I'm studying computer science at Georgia Tech. We have built a platform that allows brands to create branded memes using our unique insights and understanding of the meme community. This allows them to target their Gen Z audience. By the sheer number, there are at least 100 million people in the dank meme community who use the social media just for the sake of interacting with memes. And chances are, if you are on the internet, you've come across one of these memes. We estimate that at least 1.8 billion people come across these memes on the internet today. And with the growing popularity, they're going to be dominating social media very soon. So currently, we are in the first phase of our solution. We are solving the pain points of this dank meme community, which creates these original memes and first shares them on social media. We already have about 160,000 monthly active users on the platform and are growing over 50% month over month. We've already served more than 40 million memes through the platform, getting insights on how these memes propagate and how people interact with such memes. If you're interested in our progress, please reach out to me. I'd love to keep you in loop. Now, I didn't really know how to end this presentation, so I just used the app and made a meme on it. It's very easy to go through profiles, just pick a meme that you like, and just create those memes through the app. Once again, we are Memoids, and we are building the future of memes. Thank you.
All right, so who here is going to download this and build a meme after this thing is all over? Anyone? I'm gonna try. This looks like fun. And it's still going. So our next company deals with buildings of a different nature. Please help me welcome Sandeep Ahuja.
We spend over $1 billion every single year in the United States to build buildings. Every single one of these buildings, including this one we are in right now, needs to meet a minimum energy code in order to get built. And these energy codes are getting more and more difficult to meet. In Georgia, just last year, our energy code became 40% more difficult to meet. And that means that architects and engineers have to specify higher performance of glass, higher performance of roof, higher performance of AC. And that means more money. That means more expensive buildings. Our owners have to pay more money now unless we use optimization. And despite such a big impact, the architects and engineers, their processes haven't changed significantly in the way of decision making. They're still making decisions based on what was done on the last project since 1980s. And I would know, that's exactly what I did. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Sandeep Ahuja. I'm the co-founder of CoveTool. I'm an architect and a building science specialist. And with CoveTool, architects and engineers can automate the entire process of expensive and difficult energy modeling and curate it in an easy-to-use, implementable report that they can share with their clients and owners. When I ran a successful sustainability consulting practice, we worked with hundreds of architects across the country working on really high performance projects. And what we realized was no matter what the project size, no matter what the scale, there were 5 things that we did over and over again. These were repeatable, yet very, very manual steps. CoveTool automates that in less than 5 minutes. All of that time gone down. And our clients and our current users of the platform absolutely love it. The report you saw before, that used to cost $15,000, but our 1,300 users from over 33 leading architectural and engineering companies have been making good use of that automated platform. And we're just getting started in this $12.6 billion industry. Here's an actual example from the Emory University Campus Life Center, where with the use of automation and optimization, they were able to save close to $1 million and use that money in a much better way, while saving 40% in energy. Our team of 9 has been able to implement CoveTool all across the United States and Canada, and we plan to expand strategically over the next couple years. So we're looking to grow. So if you know architects, engineers, contractors, get in touch. We need more users. We want to keep growing. Thank you so much.
Last but not least, this company is solving a really important problem. But first, did you know that the ocean produces 50 to 80% of the air that we breathe? Anyone know that? Okay. So this is exactly the area that this next company is addressing. Please welcome Dennis Yancey.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Dennis Yancey. I'm the CEO of Murata Robotics, and we're bringing balance to ocean ecosystems. That's what our technology does. We're developing an underwater platform that uses or leverages computer vision and machine learning in order to identify a target and engage that target. The target that we decided to address is sea urchin as our first market. There's a delicate balance between kelp, predators, and sea urchins. And because we overfish, we're disrupting that balance between predators and prey. And when you disrupt that balance, the populations of prey skyrocket and consume the kelp, and these ecosystems collapse. This is what an urchin barren looks like. This is what the coast of California all the way to Alaska is turning into because we're overfishing these natural predators. And how does this impact you? This impacts you in 2 ways. We all breathe air. These kelp systems regenerate oxygen from calcium carbonates. And we all love seafood, lobsters, flounders, all these things are becoming less sustainable because these ecosystems are collapsing. It also impacts storm mitigation services that occur on the coast and how we address ocean acidity. The only way to reverse these trends is to stop fishing. But unfortunately, because we have a growing population, there are more than 3 billion people that rely on the ocean for proteins. 500 million people rely on it for income. It's not going to happen. So that's where Marauder comes in. We're providing the technology that can scale to this global problem that's more than 3 million acres. Marauder is building an underwater predator that target and engages sea urchins. And the current state of the art that we're replacing are divers. Divers, what they do is they take a hammer down to where the sea urchin barrens are, and they smash the urchins. They can't do this, it's not scalable. I mean, it's not economically feasible. Using technology, it can scale, it can work day and night, it can work at depths that divers can't work. Currently, they're spending $375,000 per acre. We think we can reduce that by an order of magnitude. And at 3.3 million acres globally, I mean, that's a $112 billion market. Currently, we're focusing on 4 technology areas: computer vision to identify the urchin, and also to quantify the biodiversity of economic species in the water. And we're using autonomous navigation in order to identify the species and in order to maneuver to the species. If you want to know more about what we're doing and how we're doing it, please follow us on Marauder Robot and Balanced Oceans, and I can talk to you more about how we plan to monetize this. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Right, and that concludes this year's Fast Pitch. A big round of applause for all 9 companies. Thank you. And so for this next part of our program, I'm going to invite John Avery, Director of ATDC, up to give a couple of remarks. John?
Thank you, Jackie. I'd like to welcome you all to the 33rd Annual ATDC Startup Showcase. And while I've got the microphone, I want to say a quick word. To put an event like this together is an amazing effort by a lot of people. And I'd like to say thank you to Jackie and Ivy and Melissa and Lauren and Victoria and everybody else on the team that I'm forgetting a few of the names, but it's a huge team to put this event together. Really appreciate all the efforts you guys do. A little hand of applause for the team putting this event together. As you know, the ATDC is a 39-year-old incubator. It's the program of Georgia Tech. It's the state of Georgia's startup incubator. We have about 190 plus companies in our network. We've got about 26 staff, about 100 volunteers. So what you've all experienced today in the main hall was about half of our portfolio, to give you an idea of the breadth and depth of the work that we do here. Pretty amazing impact that we have. We do the work that we do by providing a collection of services, including a continuously running curriculum, making connections for our startups. But primarily what we do is provide high caliber, personalized coaching from entrepreneurs, first-hand entrepreneurs, to these startups to help them be successful. Our goal is to help entrepreneurs learn about, launch, and scale successful high-tech businesses in Georgia. And these coaches are a big part of that effort. We have the privilege in our organization to spend actually several years with these entrepreneurs. That's a very rare opportunity that we have and a great privilege that we have. So big, deep relationships are formed there. One thing that may not be obvious to you from an event like today, creating a startup is hard. It's very hard, very brutally hard in some cases. And our startup, our entrepreneurs spend a lot of time with our coaches working through these very hard times. Another thing I can tell you from doing this work 39 years here at ATDC is that it goes way better if you do it with other entrepreneurs who have either been through it before you or are doing it with you. So the primary value that ATDC brings is creating those relationships with between the founders and our coaches and with each other. In many cases, the relationships our founders form with each other is as important and valuable as the relationships they form with our coaches. So it's a very powerful program that we have. We're about to enter the graduation phase of our project, of our program now. We call it graduation, but it's not a really good name because you can never leave the ATDC family. You simply slip over from the supported side more to the supporter side of the equation. These years of building these relationships don't go away. So we are fully expecting the startups that you're going to meet in the next few minutes to be fully involved with our networks going forward. We couldn't be more proud of the startups, the work that they've done. Again, our coaches and EIRs have been with them through this process. To moderate this part of the program tonight, or this afternoon, I wanted to introduce Frank Ty, who is our lead EIR, who has been with these startups through the thick and thin, to come and introduce you to these startups that we're very proud of. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Welcome, everyone. This is a bittersweet day for us because we work with these teams for sometimes up to 3 years, and it's really cool to see the traction that they've made. And while we would love to keep them, we have so many people coming in as they begin to get to where they are today. It's sort of a natural attrition, but it's hard for the staff to see them all go, and in particular this group. The first company that I want to talk about is Evident ID, founded by David Thomas and Nathan Rowe and Damian Starzowski. I screwed that up. I practiced it 50 times. Sorry, Damian. So they enable an identity and credential verifications without the risk of your personal information being hacked, because they don't have a central service where it's stored on a server. So you've all seen what happened with things like Facebook recently and all the hacks that have happened. The brilliance of this idea is there's no central server where the data is, and so it cannot be hacked. They're working with large companies like Airbnb. This team is amazing, what they've been able to accomplish in a really short period of time. I don't know if you're aware, we now are doing road shows 3 times a year to Silicon Valley, to Boston and New York. And we initially met this team when we opened applications for these road shows. And sort of with my ATDC hat on, I was thinking, why are we inviting these non-ATDC companies into our road shows? We should be taking our own companies. Well, what happened was we were introduced to these amazing companies that became part of our ecosystem, and it's been just a wonderful experience. So another lesson for me of where I was wrong. And so it's wonderful that they're with us. This team has just been incredible partners in the community, giving back to all our philanthropic efforts, and have just been an amazing partner for us. One of the things, we gave them an office, and we estimated the size that they would need. Next thing you know, we turn around and they're bursting at the seams and had to leave the building because they were growing so quickly. So it's really an incredible journey that they've been on with David and Nathan and Damian, and to see them where they are today is really cool. So it's my honor and privilege to welcome Damian, the CTO, to the stage for a few remarks.
Thanks, Frank. Thanks, John. Thanks, Jackie. Hey, Stephanie. And many thanks to the remaining ATDC staff. It's been a wonderful experience. You've created a fantastic environment for innovation and collaboration. Obviously, I'm enjoying this graduation today. Growth is a big part of the objective of a startup. But at the same time, it's a little bittersweet. I know I will miss having so many experts. I know there's still, you never really graduate, they're still available, but they're so conveniently located across the hallway in many cases. And also, side note, on the bursting at the seams on the office, thank you so much for the flexibility. I know we exercise a lot of that, and as you guys accommodated our fast-growing team. So thanks again, and it's been a wonderful journey, and I hope I can pay back all the support in some way.
Thank you, Damian. Our next graduate is Florence Healthcare. We have Ryan Jones, the CEO, here today with us, along with his co-founder, Andres Garcia. They have created an incredible platform. If you don't know about Florence, it's really a unique story. He was a former Microsoft executive and founded this company to speed up really and to make clinical trials faster. So if you can imagine cancer trials, there are thousands of physicians, thousands of patients, contract resource organizations, big pharma, and all of that was on paper. And you can imagine speeding it up. Ryan, what you've done is amazing. And to come as far as they've come. And we're really going to miss the Florence Healthcare team. Many of you know Aubrey Lenyard, who does all of our social events and so much charitable work. And the Florence team was the first one every time to sign up for the costume, the Halloween costumes, and to donate to the food drive. We're incredible partners on the floor, and it's my honor and privilege to ask Ryan Jones to come up to the stage. Thank you. Yep.
Thanks. I'll give you that back for a sec. Thanks, guys. Our ATDC experience came down to three things: people, problem solving, and profile. On the people front, we have 30 people now, but when Andres and I moved in, we had 3. And the majority, as it says behind me, the majority of our talent pool has come from tech, and so we're grateful for that. You can't replicate that anywhere else in the world, in my opinion. On the problem-solving side, we had heard a little bit already about the resources there, from mentorship to just being with your peers, or in the case of when Angela Nelms, our COO, then head of product, joined, ATDC knowing to look the other way when we took over 2 offices at once to have more whiteboard space to build our first product. Problem solving was a big part of it too. And then lastly, profile, from employees to investors to customers. ATDC gave us a platform where we looked a lot bigger and then ultimately behaved a lot bigger than we were. And now we have 1 out of every 4 cancer physicians, 4,000 research teams around the world using our tool to advance clinical research. And that would not be possible without what we learned and did inside of ATDC. So thanks.
So our next team up is Pointivo, founded by Dan Cipreri and Dr. Habib Fatih. I want to say a few things about the founder, Dan, and I know the companies aren't all about the founders, but we work with them so closely. Dan is an example of someone who's truly given back to our community. He's a serial entrepreneur with many successes. He came back to ATDC to serve as an entrepreneur in residence, giving his time to his fellow CEOs and into experiential share. In our CEO roundtable lunches, he's been one of the most useful people because he has such a deep experience. And then on the startup side, when he joined Pointivo, they're the example of leveraging Georgia Tech, non-dilutive funding, grants from the GRA and from SBIR in order to create the value. And with their team and what they're doing with their mobile platform, creating imagery, 3D imagery captured by drones, used across all types of industries. It's just incredible to see the growth story that has happened. And you hear all the time that companies bet on the horse. And in this case, it's incredible to see the power of a serial entrepreneur matched with the talent and tech at Georgia Tech and powered by some help from ATDC to see where they are today. And they are growing at an incredible rate. It is my honor and distinct privilege to ask Dan Cipreri to come to the stage. Thank you. There you go, brother. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Frank. So as Frank mentioned, I was an EIR 6 years ago, and I just sold my last company. I was very fortunate to find the ATDC. I spent 2 years as an EIR, and I will tell any of the experienced entrepreneurs out here, one of the greatest roles I ever served in. It was really a rewarding experience. But also met my co-founder. I would have never met Habib if I had not been in this role. He just graduating, earning his PhD at Georgia Tech, and we joined and started Pointivo. We raised our first funding through relationships at Georgia Tech. We had earned $1.6 million from the NSF Thank you, Connie, very much for that. Super helpful. And really taking advantage of many of the benefits. So great place to be. And to all of you at the ATDC, thank you for what you're doing, making ATDC a great asset for the startup community. You guys are making a real difference and having a great impact.
So our next graduate is Sidekick, founded by Jeremy Hale and Tree McClown, and they are on a mission to impact the social influencers. They are working with some of the biggest brands in the country like Coke and just growing like a rocket ship. They're also another team who grew so quickly, I think we couldn't house them anymore, and it's really neat to see the recent funding round and the traction they're making with all the big brands. Another company that was always involved daily with all of us and all of our events. And it's really difficult, as I say each time, to see these guys go. But it's my honor and privilege to welcome you to the stage, Jeremy, as a graduate of ATDC. Thanks a lot. I'm hiding the microphone.
Awesome. Well, it's been quite a journey to get to the stage where we are now. I think, building a company is never a straight line, and we had our share of twists and turns and ups and downs. And I think, the support both from our peers, other entrepreneurs, as well as the people at ATDC, just mean the world to me. I think, they were there for us when we were going through tough times and helping us get through those, as well as, celebrating the wins. And they really care about, the entrepreneurs, the companies, and helping people be successful. So I'm just so appreciative. Thank you so much.
And our fifth and final graduate today, Tim Quinn, is here, the founder and CEO of ThinkTech. And their platform to manage real-time assets is so cool. This is an example of a Georgia Tech and UGA graduate coming in to have a great team. But imagine they have one project where they have their sensors on all the snow plows, I think, in the state of New Hampshire. So you can imagine a snowstorm hits. Where are the snow plows? Where are they even located? What are they up and operating? Or are they about to fail? And so this data, this hardware, the software, and the physical components on the assets are amazing. They're growing at a very rapid rate. And I have to say personally, Tim is one of the kindest, nicest guys. They tell me not to tell jokes, but when you meet a guy in the South and he says, "Oh, shucks, I'm just a country boy," I'm watching my wallet, right? So Tim actually is truly one of those people who is kind and good and decent, and his team is that way. We have loved it. When the bridge went out, an example of how ATDC can help, he's over by Sweetwater 420. And they were calling that Beer Island at the time because you couldn't get in and out of there when the bridge was gone. So we were able to help them with our conference rooms and let them come. And they just jumped in and joined, and it's amazing. And Tim's an example of another guy that we met on these road shows that were thought of by Jane McCracken, our assistant director, that I was so against. So again, it's wonderful that we did those, and so proud to have you guys. We hate to see you go, but all of you, we want you all to join our graduate program for our recent graduates and join these other companies in continuing to access Georgia Tech in our program. So it's my honor and privilege to bring my friend Tim Quinn to the stage to accept his award. Thank you. Thank you, buddy. Thanks a lot.
I appreciate that. Thanks so much, Frank, for kind words. I do have to mention the journey. I have to say, we're here because of Jackie Chu. 2.5 years ago, she pointed us in this direction. We came out of ATV, and then really didn't realize what the resources were available. So, just on behalf of ThinkTech and our staff, we have many of our staff here: Andy Davies and Ariana Carter up there, new staff members. I just want to say, really from the bottom of our hearts, a big thank you to Jen, who I see here's. Welcome back. Great to see you. Frank, Jane, Drew Lanham, who was our EIR, is not here, but now it's Shannon. The one thing I have to mention, and I say this often, I'm probably the number one supporter, or certainly the number one cheerleader of ATDC, and I say this with with a lot of thought, that when I look at our journey over the past 4 years,
And it's been up and down, and we've had some highlights and a lot of lowlights. Oh my God! I look at the one support organization that's probably been the most valuable to us. It's been ATDC, from a networking, from the industry. Corbett does the Industry Connect. It's been fantastic. We've taken advantage of the Campus Connect program with all the EIRs and the catalysts. It really has been the single strongest support network we could have had for our growth in terms of looking back at where we're at. So I can't thank ATDC enough for that. And we look forward to continuing the relationships and paying it forward. And my only guidance to those that are looking, the startups that are pitching, the one thing that if I were to give any advice is you have to take advantage. You have to put effort into the relationship. Right? Nobody's going to drop a big bag of money on you. Not that I know of, but you have to take advantage of the programs, take advantage of the EIRs, take advantage of the roundtables, take advantage of the Industry Connect. I mean, we've had 4, 5, 6 major connections to very large enterprise customers just by taking advantage of the program. So take advantage of the relationship, leverage the heck out of it, and have fun. So thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
So that concludes our formal program.
Yes.
All of the teams, if you want to come up for photographs with your founder.
No, your
Not yet,
formal program.
not yet. So I'll let Jackie take it from here.
Thank you, Frank.
I practiced a lot, but I still didn't get it right.
Okay, and so now it's time for the last part of our program, the keynote. Minor detail. So Matt McConnell is the CEO and co-founder of Intradium, a 24-year-old overnight success. And Matt is, we are really lucky to have Matt here address us. He is the holder of 11 software patents and also an author. So busy man doing busy things, important things. So please welcome Matt McConnell.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, guys. I didn't get an award when I graduated, so I'm just, if you guys can arrange for me to get mine when I leave here. That was going to be the shortest keynote ever, as you were sort of cutting the program off. And I'm going to just use this table right here. Eric, is it all right if I steal this table? Just to, maybe I'll get your hand with me here. Thank you very much. Oh, you got to pick it up. I'll let you do that so I don't like fall down in front of all this. Well, I'm an ATDC OG. Like I'm an original gangster. I was in the ATDC a long time ago, and it was very different in a lot of ways, but in some ways it was very similar. And as I've heard the graduating companies talk here today, the sort of support group aspect, like Jeremy from Sidekick said, it's not a straight line. And there are ups and downs, aren't there, that you experience as a startup, and the community that the ATDC puts together for startups in the technology community in Atlanta is just phenomenal. So it's an honor to be here. I want to tell you about my entrepreneurial journey, and for the 9 fast pitch companies and the 5 graduate companies and the others, I want to tell you about some lessons I've learned over the last 2.5 decades, and what I kind of refer to as my accidental career as an entrepreneur. So I grew up in Atlanta, and I went to engineering school at the finest university in all the land, Georgia Institute of Technology. And I'm proud to say that I put myself through engineering school here, and I got out, as they say. I co-opted at the Coca-Cola Company. Anybody from Coke here? No? All right. Well, it was a fantastic play. I co-opted with the Coca-Cola Company. I put myself through school working for Coke, and I took a job with Coke. When I graduated, it was an amazing place to start my career, and I'm so grateful for the Coca-Cola Company. While at the Coca-Cola Company, it wasn't very long after I took my real job that I got I guess we don't need a picture of me up there. I'm standing up here. I got my first real project, and by myself, and it was an enormous failure. enormous failure, like of significant, I think it's in the Project Failure Coca-Cola Hall of Fame. It was really, really bad. I was given a bunch of money to go and test Coca-Cola fountain equipment with this vendor partner that the company had, and we were testing this Coca-Cola fountain equipment at different temperatures and humidities to see how the equipment would react. And as I said, probably you heard me say it was an enormous failure, just a disaster, a lot of money and a lot of time wasted in that project. And I was fairly sure I would be fired from my first real job. And I wasn't. To my surprise, it got blamed on the vendor. And what I sort of came to learn was that my boss kind of put me in the game a little too early. And so really it was my fault, but it was also his fault. And so the vendor was blamed, and a light bulb went on for me at that moment. And the light bulb, I was a junior person at the Coca-Cola company with a lot of ambition, and I learned that there was a gap in how people are managed, and it still largely exists today, and developed and helped, especially early in their careers. If you think about management, and how you've been managed throughout your careers, it's intermittent, it's sporadic, it's kind of this one-to-many relationship, and the reality is it's very ineffective. There's loads of inefficiency in how employees perform. There's a lack of employee engagement. If you look at the statistics, employee engagement is incredibly low. And there's an impact on the products and services that companies produce as a result, and on their financials, and frankly on the economy as a whole. And so this light bulb went on for me, and I came up with this idea to create an automated manager that would help to manage and develop and assist employees in doing their jobs. And so I shared the idea with a friend and a roommate, one of my roommates from Georgia Tech at the time, and we were naive enough to believe that we could actually do this. And it was at a time in our lives that we thought we could actually, become entrepreneurs. We didn't have mortgages at that moment. We didn't have any kids, and we had both recently married wonderful women who had great jobs. So that was a huge plus for us. And in addition, as I we made the decision to do it, and I was going around and I was telling my former boss that I was leaving and thanking him for hiring me. And I'll never forget it. And he looked at me across the table and he said, "You'll be back in less than a year." And that just seared into my brain he couldn't have said anything that would be more motivating. I don't think he meant it to be motivating, frankly, but he could not have said anything that was more motivating to me in that moment. I've never forgotten it. And the one thing I couldn't do was ever go back there. So he effectively burned the boats for me. Like it had to work. And so we left, and as my mother would say at the time, that my co-founder and I left perfectly good paying jobs to start a company making no money. And so we were off to the races. We were working out of his house. This was before we came to the ATDC. We were working out of his house in Roswell. And it was really cool, kind of classic startup. We brought our dogs to work. Well, he was home, so his dog was there. I brought my dog to work. And we started to work on the first version of our product, this automated manager that could manage and develop and coach and assist employees. And so a couple quick funny anecdotes. We chose the language that we were going to write our first product in, by which book was cheaper at the bookstore. And Visual Basic for Dummies was the cheaper of the two, but swear to God, true story. And so we developed our first, when we were really, really poor, and developed our first version of our product in Visual Basic. Another true story, we only had 2 computers. And we both had Visual Basic installed on our computers. So we didn't have any clean places to test our product. And every time we would try to install it, we started to get early customers, it would say it didn't have the supporting files. Well, so we could only test it on our machines, and those machines had all the supporting files from Visual Basic. So we thought, where can we go to find machines? And when we ran out of all of our relatives' computers, we decided that Staples and Office Depot would be our test labs. And so we would go into Staples and Office Depot at the time, and one of us would distract, like I would distract the salesperson, and my co-founder would install software on machine after machine to test it to see if it would, true story. But once we installed it on all the machines, and like we had this map of the stores around Atlanta, and we would check them off, and so we would go around Atlanta and test our software. So true story. And we got the product out, and we signed the first few customers, and we came down to the ATDC, and we applied to be an ATDC company, and they accepted us. And really early in our time at the ATDC, we've got some really good counsel. I think ATDC's always done a fantastic job of having mentors and executives in residence that can provide young entrepreneurs with great counsel. And so we got some good counsel, and they said, you know what, you've got a really good idea, but it needs focus. You need to go define a market. And so we went off and did a bunch of research, and ultimately we picked contact centers, call centers, because there were a lot, and still are, a lot of junior employees in call centers. There is a tremendous amount of turnover, so there's just always new people coming in, and there are major consequences when they do their job poorly, like they're talking to customers. And the most important thing is for us was everything was measured, so we could apply our product and really quickly, within hours, see the difference it was making. And so we picked contact centers, and we started to get some real traction at that point. So we decided it was time to go and raise some capital. So we went out to do that, and everybody in Atlanta told us no at least twice. Some told us no like a half a dozen times. And for some reason, we were like really big in the Midwest. Like all our money came out of the Midwest, not known as a venture capital hotbed, but like Chicago and Ann Arbor and places like that. And so we got this venture money from the Midwest, and I'm happy to say, proud to say, we got them all a really successful exit. One of them is still with us after many years, continues to support the company and be a great advocate and cheerleader for us. But when they gave us our first round of venture capital, they said, you boys need an adult to help you run the company. That's not exactly what they said, but that's what they meant when they said it. And so we went around and began to look for a CEO and recruit for a CEO. And we had a customer at the time who had a business that had a roadside assistance call center, and that was actually our customer, one of our early customers. And he was leaving that business, and we were able to talk him into joining us. He's here today. Rusty, thank you for being here. And so Rusty Gordon joined as our first CEO, and became my mentor, and still after all these years continues to be. He was the adult, which I still find funny. But he was the adult. And really early on, Rusty invited me into his office, and he said, Matt, I'm not sure how to say this, but you are the worst manager I have ever worked with, like on the planet. Do you remember saying that? Yep, you are the worst manager I have ever worked with, and possibly on the planet, but I'm going to help you because I see something in you and I want to invest in you. And he became a mentor to me and really invested his time and energy into me. And Rusty, I'm so grateful. So as Jeremy from Sidekick said, entrepreneurship and starting a company is never a straight line, and it wasn't a straight line for Intradium. For starters, we were a little bit early with our product, and to bring an automated manager to market before really automation was a thing for information workforces. And so it was a very bumpy ride early days and several iterations that we went through. And along the way, my co-founder left the company, and that was an unpleasant experience, but learned a lot through that process. And at a certain point, Rusty told the board he thought I was ready to be the CEO, and he handed me the reins, and I was thrown right into the fire. And I'm grateful for the time that Rusty and mentoring that Rusty invested in me. And I'm very fortunate that we had a venture investor who believed in us and believed in the company and believed in what we're doing. As I said, he continued to support us. And eventually the market caught up with our idea. And we finally got like real traction, and the growth just took off. And so we decided to raise more money, but we were at that time too big for venture money. So we went and started to talk to private equity companies. And so we raised private equity into the company, and very different experience. For those of you that have ever raised venture or private equity or both, you know that it's very, very different. And so when the private equity investors came in, it continued to be about growth, but it was a real focus on operations and operational excellence and operational best practices. And it was hard to go from an early stage venture company into that sort of private equity stage company. But we did it, and we became cash positive, which was a new thing for me, kind of living out of our own wallet and learning how to do that. And so we got, sort of went through that phase, and we were not only growing, but we were having an impact. And we were having an impact for huge brands all over the world. And this technology that we have at any given moment in time is assisting about 250,000 employees in brands like this all over the world. We'll deliver about just a little over 1 billion automations this year. That's about 35 a second, where we're helping to manage and coach employees. Most importantly, these companies are reporting massive improvements, just as sort of as we suspected, in their employee efficiency, their employees' engagement, and in their customers' experience. And we've barely scratched the surface. I was told when we were preparing for this that we're now one of the largest software companies in Atlanta. I didn't know that had happened, but it's a really exciting time, and it's been a really exciting time for this as we sort of take this globally. We're the early leader in a $10 billion global market, and we're in the process of scaling the company globally. We're having a blast because we're having a huge impact on our customers, and it's exciting because it's something that can have an impact on the global economy. And the reality is that my entrepreneurial journey didn't go as planned. As Jeremy said, it's not a straight line. It's a bumpy line, and that's not sort of what I drew up for myself at the beginning. It was an accidental career, not the sort of overnight success, Jackie, you joked about. It was a bumpy road, but along the way, I've had the privilege of learning some what I think are really important lessons, and I thought I'd share those with the 5 graduating companies and the 9 fast pitch companies here today. So I want to share just 3 quick lessons that I've learned along the way, and 2 of them are somewhat obvious. So I'm going to flash through those fairly quickly. But the third one is not as obvious, and so I'm going to slow down and drill down on that one a little bit more when we get there. Okay? So the first one is nothing great can be about you. Doesn't say nothing about you can be great. I just want to just read it carefully. Nothing great can be about you. And this is a lesson I learned a few years ago. The speaker here at the graduation ceremony told everybody to enjoy the journey. It's about the journey as an entrepreneur, as a startup company. Enjoy the journey, all the ups and downs, and that's what it's about. It's about the journey. And then last year, the speaker told the audience, it's not about the journey. Come on, Let's be honest. It's about the destination. It's about the check, right? It's about the check. And my experience has been that both of those things, if we're honest, are about me. The journey is about me. The destination is about me. And nothing great can be about me. That's kind of what I've learned. And the reality is when you focus on one, you have a hard time focusing on another. So we're going to do a quick exercise. This is something Rusty, another sort of office moment. Rusty pulled me into his office one day, and he said, Matt, we're going to do a quick exercise. And so I want you to do it with me. I want you to take your right hand and stretch it out as far away from you as you can. This is a class exercise. Participations are going to be, you get a 0 if you don't do it. Right hand all the way out, okay? Now put your left hand up close to your face, close to your nose, okay? So now what I want you to do is look at your close hand, okay? Can you see, while still focusing on your close hand, can you see your far hand out there? Wiggle your fingers. You can, while still focused on your close hand. Now look at the far hand. Focus in on the far hand. And you can still see the close hand while you're focused on the far hand, but it's not in focus, is it? So Rusty, you can put your hands down. You all get 100. Rusty said, the reality is you can't focus on both. And when we're focused on ourselves, generally speaking, I find that I'm pretty short-term focused. That's the close hand. And when I'm focused on my close hand, I can't really focus on, I can see it, but I can't focus on the far hand. And when I focus on the impact that we can make, whether it's in the lives of our employees or the impact we can have on our customers or on the economy, when I think about what Marauder's doing, think about that. The impact that not having that technology could have on our lives, right? I mean, so Rusty's point was you can either focus on you or focus on impact, but you can't focus on both. And so I've never forgotten that little lesson and just the way our eyes focus. It's very true. When that close hand is really about us. And when we focus on us, it's hard to be focused on the impact that we can have. And he said, you know, at some point, you have to choose. You're going to focus on one or the other. It's not a wrong answer. There's not a wrong answer. But you do have to choose, and don't kid yourself that you can focus on both. And so my advice, just from my experience, and I would say the wonderful news is that I've found that if you focus on the impact that you can have, good things happen to you also. And so my advice, just from our experience, is focus on the lasting change that you can make, and you'll be handsomely rewarded. So that's the first one. Nothing great can be about you. The second one is after why is who. And again, this is not profound knowledge, but the second question after why, you know, what is it going to be about impact? Is it going to be about you? Is really about who. You've probably heard this statement, success comes down to a few moments. And that's very true as I look back over the last couple of decades in this company, few moments. But it also comes down to a few people. Success comes down to a few moments, and it comes down to a few people involved with your company. And I would tell you in two categories. First is investors. And as entrepreneurs, this is an amazing time if you decide to raise money. There's $1 trillion in private equity waiting to be invested right now. Not waiting, trying to be invested, because they have to give it back if they don't invest it, and I can guarantee you they're not giving it back. There's another $1 trillion being raised right now. So imagine, and they've usually put the money out between 3 and 5 years. $2 trillion will be put into our economy, be put into largely small businesses in the next 3 to 5 years. $2 trillion. It is a seller's market, and you have the luxury to choose carefully. And I would encourage you strongly to choose carefully. So without disparaging any investors in particular, what I would tell you is my experience in my own company is there are some really good ones, not a lot, and there are some really bad ones. And you have the luxury to choose carefully at this moment in time. The second one is key leaders. Again, there are a few people that make a big difference. If it's not obvious, You know, Rusty made a big, big difference for me as a leader and in our company. I was blessed to hire Rusty as a CEO, and he helped me to become a little bit better leader. Now I'm not worst in the world anymore. I'm still in the bottom quartile apparently, but I'm a little bit better. And I was also very blessed to have John Wolf, who you heard fast pitch for Inspector 6, be our CMO. By the way, quick commercial, we use Inspector 6. I am the software company with the conversion metrics that improved. It's a fantastic product. John was our CMO, and he largely charted the course that has allowed us to become the leader in this $10 billion market of applying automation to information work. And I'm so grateful to have had people like Rusty and John on my team. And my advice from my experience is having had to take a lot of trial and error to find the right people, is when it comes to investors and your key management team, slow down. Slow down, take your time, get it right. You will be motivated to find that investor, the person that wants to write you a check, to pull the trigger on that person with all this great experience that you think might help your company. Slow down, take your time, get it right. And as I said, success comes down to a few moments and a few key people. Okay, so those are the two pretty straightforward ones. The third one I want to share is less obvious, I think. And what I've found is that in 2019, the only sustainable competitive advantage is great people. 2019, people, great products can be copied. Maybe not that Marauder thing, but everything else. Great products can be copied. Even great service can be copied. But what's really, really difficult to copy is great people doing their best work. And so I want to spend a little bit of time talking about this. And the irony is that as entrepreneurs, it's often the very last thing we focus on. We focus on, getting the product or service right. We spend a lot of time thinking about that. Then we got to go sell it, right? So we go and we're trying to sell this thing, and we're trying to get customers. And then the dog catches the truck, right? The dog catches the car, and now we got to go deliver this thing. And so we figure out how to deliver it and how to do that consistently and repeatably and so on. And all along the way, we're trying to figure out how to make payroll and hire that next developer or whatever it is that we need. And the very last thing that we tend to focus on is building a culture in our company that will attract great people to do and have them to do great work. And so I'm convinced that to build a great and lasting company, that you have to focus on this thing, of building a culture. So I want to talk about that. And what I will say to you is that great people are attracted to and do their best work in great cultures. They're attracted to great cultures, and they do their best work in the great cultures. So I want to share some brands with you. Just as you hear these brands, I want you to think about what comes to your mind about what you know about these companies, what you've maybe heard about their cultures. These are companies that are known for having great cultures, but think about the products and services that they've delivered to us as a result. Companies like Apple and Netflix and Amazon. And interestingly, Amazon has a great culture, and they acquire companies with great cultures. Think about Zappos and Whole Foods. Google and Dropbox. And outside of the technology industry, companies like Southwest and Walt Disney and Patagonia and REI. These are companies with great cultures that produce amazing products and services that we all know. So let me break this down. I'm going to break this into two parts, talk about why great people are attracted to great cultures, and then I'm going to talk about why great people do their best work in great cultures. So great people are attracted to great cultures. I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I want to have the best product, I want to have the best service, and I want to have the best people. So after finding out I was the worst manager in the history of the world, I became a student of people and culture and leadership, and it took me a long time. And one of the things that I did was I said I want to interview every employee, every prospective employee, and so I don't know how many people I interviewed on average for every job, but I interviewed a lot of people. And I began to hear a really common theme in these interviews. And so I'd ask people, well, why are you leaving company XYZ? Like, why are you interested in leaving? And they would say the same thing over and over. And I kept hearing the same word over and over. And I'd say, why are you interested in coming to a company like Intradiem? Again, that same word over and over and over. Impact. I'm not having an impact on my job. I can't see the results of my work. I can't see the impact of the work that I want to come someplace where I can have an impact. Impact, impact, impact. I kept hearing it over and over in interviews. And people, not surprisingly, we all know this, we need meaning in our lives. From the time that we're born to the time that we die, we'll spend 24% of our waking hours at work. And people we want something to show for that time. And that's not news to anybody, but what I saw and learned is that most people are not that motivated by creating shareholder value. They're just not, like, unless they're the top 2 or 3 shareholders, they just are not that motivated by creating shareholder value. And they're also not that motivated by our mission and vision. I think we have an awesome mission and vision. I think we're making a huge difference for our customers and we can make a huge impact in the world. But what I found is, generally speaking, for the rank and file, that's not driving them out of bed in the morning either. They wanted meaning in their lives. And so it was also at about this time we were making a transition as a business and really focusing on recurring revenue and growing the recurring revenue in our business. And so we kind of stumbled into something. When Rusty was the CEO, he had started this service program, this community service program, where we would do food drives and things like that. And I wanted to attract servant-hearted people to the company. And so I took this program that Rusty had started and I really blew it out and made it into this big program because I wanted people that would be thinking about recurring revenue. Like, we got to earn that money every day, right? And we had to change our culture. So I blew out this service program. And what I did was I gave every employee a week off to serve the community any way they wanted. And it was amazing. What it did for our culture and how it transformed it. And our employees, when they go and they serve in the community, we close the office a few days a year and we go out and we serve together. Other times people can go and serve. And all over the world, our employees, any given week, are doing incredible service. And as I began to listen to our employees, I try to have lunch with at least one employee a week, a different employee every week. And as I met with our employees, I began to hear that word. Like, why are you here? Why are you staying here? What is it about Intradiem that causes you to want to be here? Impact. I'm getting to have an impact. I'm seeing in my work, like, I'm having an impact on our customers, but I also get to go and support this cause that's really important to me. And I'm having an impact in my local community. So I started to hear that word, impact, impact, impact. And it really has been meaningful for our employees, as you might expect. It's been fantastic for our customers. We have amazing NPS scores on behalf of our customers. And our customers pretty consistently tell me, look, you guys don't get it right all the time. No software company does. But we know when you screw up, it hurts you as bad as it hurts us. I don't have to tell anybody to stay in work overnight to solve a customer problem. It's just become part of our culture. But you can imagine how well it went down with my private equity investors, that I was giving everybody a week off to go and serve the community. Not something that they were big supporters of. But it's got amazing returns for our company too. It's had a tremendous impact on the retention of our employees, of our key employees in particular. And it's built the kind of bonds between our employees that you just can't build any other way. In fact, this week, there was a sales rep on the phone with a customer. And the customer had a question about a mobile app that we have. And that sales rep had served at a homeless shelter months ago, months before, standing shoulder to shoulder, serving hamburgers to homeless people. And he and that mobile developer had built a bond that, no ropes course or motivational speaker could ever build. So he's on the phone with that customer, and the customer had a question about the mobile app. And he was able to get up, walk to the other side of the building, find that mobile developer, ask a question, and in 3 minutes have an answer to the customer that otherwise would have probably taken 3 days going through sort of the chain of command to get that answer. And so this community service program has been fantastic. But just in terms of attracting great people, word has gotten out. We have people that seek us out because of our reputation and our culture now. In fact, this week I named a new head of marketing. He was the CMO at Orbitz and 1-800-Flowers. Now, I never would have been able to hire this person, certainly not without like a headhunter. I didn't have to find him. He found us through our reputation. And I'm sure he could have worked at many, many places, but he chose to work for us because of our culture. And so that's been a huge impact. And I say now, I don't want to be someone's first employer. We don't tend to hire right out of college. I want them to go work. I want to be their second or third or fourth employer. I want them to go work someplace else that sucks before they come to us so they can really appreciate our culture. So there are many ways to build a great culture. The companies I talked about before, Southwest and Patagonia and Amazon and Apple, they all have distinct cultures. They're not all the same. Every culture is different, but it needs to be authentic, and it needs to be about you, and it needs to bring your employees meaning. And so there are many ways to build it, but to attract great people, work on your culture. That's been a big lesson for me. So once you attract great people, how do you get them to do great work? And this was probably the biggest insight I've had on human performance. And I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to performance management. Like I've tried every software, every process, everything to try to get a really good performance management system. And what I learned was that working for a company is like a relationship. It's like a romantic relationship. Think of a romantic relationship that you've been in, that you cared about. When you're in a relationship, like a romantic relationship, and you care about that relationship, you'll defend it, won't you? You'll fight for it. You'll work on it. You'll invest in it. And working for a company that you're bought into is like that relationship. Once you buy into that relationship, you'll defend it. You'll fight for it. You'll fight for the highest good of that company every day because you don't want to lose that relationship. And that was a huge insight for me when it came to culture. And it's on or off. There's no gray area. Either I'm in, I've bought into this relationship, or I haven't, and I'm out. And until I figured this out, I had tried all this different performance management stuff. So let me ask you a question. Are you going to get better results with a really sophisticated performance management system and process? Or are you going to get better results from employees that are bought in to the relationship with your company and invested in that relationship, and they don't want to lose it, and they're going to fight for the highest good of your company every single day? It's rhetorical. No one has to scream out an answer. You know the answer. You're going to get the best results for people that are bought into that relationship. You can't performance manage that kind of result. When they buy into that relationship, it has an impact all year long. They're going to give their best and highest. So the aim should be to get great people, to attract great people, and then to get them to buy into the relationship. And the way to do that is to build a great culture. It's a perpetual energy machine. And I've even found it has its own immune system. What I've found is as we've worked on this culture, we don't always get hires right. And sometimes we hire people that are not a great cultural fit. We still make mistakes. But the immune system of these employees that are defending and fighting for the highest good of the company, it attacks those bacteria that have invaded the system, like an immune system, and they get voted off the island, to use mixed analogies. But it's this perpetual energy machine in your company. So contrary to popular wisdom, the only sustainable competitive advantage is great people, and great people are attracted to and do their best work in great culture. So in summary, I just want to hit these again. Nothing about you is great. Nothing great can be about you. You have to choose. Remember the sort of hand analogy. It's either you or impact that you choose to focus on. The second one is after why is who. I would say there are a few, like I said before, there are a few moments in life that really matter, and there are a few people in your business that really matter. And last, the only sustainable competitive advantage is great people, and great people are attracted to and do their best work in great cultures. So in closing, I'd like to congratulate the 5 graduating companies, and let's give them another round of applause to the 5 graduating companies. And good luck to you, to all of you, in continuing to build your businesses. And last, but certainly not least, I thought about this, about the ATDC and all that they've meant to so many companies in Georgia. And I want to thank the ATDC, first, for not throwing us out. Second, for inviting me back here to speak. It's an honor to do that. And last, for just being an incredible resource for so many companies in Georgia. And I just want to, if you've been impacted by the ATDC, or even if you haven't, will you please stand with me and just let's thank the ATDC for their amazing work. No, you have to stay seated. Thank you.